Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Over the last couple of years, I've had a few people come up to me and go, "Wow, Tom, I didn't know you wore hearing aids." Actually, I wear two, one hearing aid on each side. And if you'll give me just a few minutes of your time, I'd like to explain to you why I wear hearing aids and how all this came about. Okay, just a few disclaimers. There's a lot of medical terminology and stuff in this. I'll just ask you to watch all the way to the end, and I promise it'll make sense. I guess the best place to start would be in 2018. My wife Brenda and I were on the way to Lexington, which is a nearby town to here. We were going to do some shopping, and we were riding down the interstate, and I suddenly noticed that I completely lost hearing on my right side. It was like somebody reached in and turned a switch. Gone. Completely deaf on my right side. Needless to say, it scared me just a little bit. So a few days later, I made an appointment and got in to see my primary care physician. She looked in my ear and said, "I don't really notice anything, but because of it was such a dramatic hearing loss, I'm going to refer you to ENT, which is the ear, nose, and throat specialist." So that appointment took me a couple of weeks to get. So I go to the ENT clinic. I'm a patient at our local VA. So I go over to the VA clinic to the ENT, and I meet a Dr. Bush. Dr. Bush looks in my ear and says, "You have a cholesteatoma." I was like, "Okay." He said, "Actually, you have two. You have one on each side." He said, "That probably explains why you've lost the hearing on your right side." He goes, "But it's easy to fix. All we have to do is schedule your surgeries." I said, "Wait a minute. Surgeries?" He said, "Yeah. You're going to end up having surgeries on both sides. That's probably the easiest way to get rid of this." I was like, "Okay, give me a few minutes to talk this over with my wife, and we'll see where we go from here." So we started asking Dr. Bush some questions. Exactly what was a cholesteatoma? What does the surgery involve? What the healing time is? All the usual stuff that people would ask. I'm going to include some links in the description down below to explain what a cholesteatoma is in medical terminology. I'll let you know what I was told that it is here in just a minute. But I'm also going to leave links to a mastoidectomy and a tympanoplasty. Believe me, all those terms will make sense. But I'm going to leave links to the medical description for all that down below so you can read that in case I misrepresent what this is. But my understanding is my cholesteatoma is formed because I have negative pressure behind my eardrum. Um, I asked the doctors what can cause that. They said there's a lot of things that can cause it. So we really can't pin down exactly what caused yours. Um, but I think I have an idea as to how I ended up with negative pressure behind my eardrums. I'll insert a picture here. Okay, that picture was the M1 Abrams main battle tank for the U.S. Army in the Marine Corps. Um, a lot of you know I'm retired Army, and for the better part of my 20-year career, I was an armed crewman on these tanks. When that tank fires, there's a lot of concussive force that is felt inside and around the vehicle. Um, I think that led to my eardrums being the negative pressure that I had, but there's really no way to tell. But as far as what I understand a cholesteatoma is, your eardrum is supposed to be shaped. I always get these two mixed up. This is convex. They're pointed outward. So if your eardrum is convex on this side, as your eardrum, which is a living, breathing thing, sheds skin cells, the cells fall away. They get trapped in the wax and are taken away from your body. Well, because of the negative pressure in my inner ear, my eardrum is shaped like this, concave. It goes in. So the skin cells here, when they shed, they collect in a pocket, which is the cholesteatoma. Well, as was explained to me, when skin cells die, they release a chemical that erodes bone. This chemical went through my eardrum and started eroding my inner bones of hearing. And the reason I completely lost the hearing in my right ear so suddenly was the bone severed. It broke the connection. So they had to go. The cholesteatoma is cured with the two surgeries that I mentioned, the mastoidectomy and the tympanoplasty. Basically, they make an incision behind my ear. They go in, they remove the cholesteatoma, they repair the eardrum. That's the tympanoplasty, is the repairing of the eardrum. As far as the mastoidectomy goes, there's two ways that they can do the mastoidectomy. It's what they call wall up and wall down, which is literally your canal wall, your ear canal wall. They either leave it up or they take it down. My surgeries have been canal wall up. They left the ear canal wall intact. They took a little skin graft from the inside of my ear canal to rebuild my eardrum, which is my tympanic membrane, hence tympanoplasty. During my initial exam with Dr. Bush, he determined that my left ear, as far as the cholesteatoma goes, was much worse than my right ear. But because I had completely lost the hearing in my right ear, he decided that he was going to do my right ear surgery first. So in 2018, I had ear surgery. I healed up from that ear surgery in about 6 weeks, and then I returned to work with no improvement in the hearing on the right side because the bones were still not there. So about 6 months later, they scheduled my second surgery on the right side. This would be the surgery where they go in and try to rebuild everything and do the repairs to try to maintain some level of hearing on that side. And they ended up putting a titanium prosthesis in place of the severed chain for my bones of hearing. The ciliary, I always mispronounce that chain, which is the three bones of hearing. I now have a piece of titanium in my ear replacing the eardrum, or the bones on the right side. You know what, y'all? I'm sorry. In between pressing record and stop, I realized that I have my timeline off. My first ear surgery was actually 2015, not 2018. My second ear surgery on the right side was in 2016. I apologize for that. I've had a lot of surgeries and sometimes it's hard to keep them straight. I actually had to go back and look at some of the pictures that I'm showing y'all to remember the sequence that I had them in. So my second ear surgery in 2016, it took me about six and a half weeks to heal up from that before I could go back to work. But I did notice that I had a slight improvement in my hearing on the right side, in the fact that I could actually hear again on the right side. So to go from not hearing at all to being able to hear anything on the right side, that's an improvement. So that's where I was at as far as the right side goes. So after my right ear, they scheduled my left ear surgeries. I say surgeries because in 2017, I had the first one. In 2018, I had the second one on my left side. So that brings me up to a total of 4 ear surgeries, 2 on each side. I also have a titanium prosthesis replacing the inner bones of hearing that were lost on the left side. I actually lost one of the bones and part of a second one on the left side, whereas the right side, I only lost part of one bone. I don't remember if it was the hammer or the stirrup, but of the 3 bones that are there, the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup, those are the ones that were affected. My anvil bone wasn't affected on either side. I've put a link to what I'm about to read down in the description. This comes from enthealth.org. It talks about the condition of cholesteatoma. How serious is this condition? I'm going to read to you what this says. Without proper treatment, cholesteatoma can cause recurrent ear infections. Chronic infections in the ear can lead to progressive hearing loss and even deafness. Yeah, that happened. Cholesteatoma erodes bone, including the 3 inner bones of hearing, which may cause infections that spread to the inner ear or brain. These infections can lead to meningitis, brain abscess, facial paralysis, dizziness or vertigo, or even death. That's a direct quote from enthealth.org. But that pretty much is not verbatim, but that's how I explain things to our children as to why I wanted to have this surgery and why it was important that I did have this surgery. Cholesteatoma continues to grow. If it's not removed, it will stay in place and get bigger. You only have so many ears inside, so many ears. You only have so many bones inside your ear. Once the cholesteatoma basically got done feeding on my 3 inner bones of hearing, the next bone that it would run into would be my skull. If you get a hole in your skull, you leak cerebral spinal fluid, which is not a good thing. It can lead to death. But I know the death word is pretty serious, and that's like the worst case scenario of this, but it could happen. Now, before I go any further, if you're still with us, thank you very much for watching. I'd like to take this time to invite you to check out our YouTube channels. We have KY Travelers, but Brenda also has Nana's Hidden Apron. I'm filming this in April of 2022. The last time I checked, Brenda on her channel, Nana's Hidden Apron, had around 900 subscribers. I would really like to see her get to 1,000 subscribers before the 4th of July. I would really like that. And it would mean so much to her as well. But I invite you to check out our channels and subscribe if you want to. You don't have to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps our channel out just a little bit. Now, my 4 surgeries, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018, are done. I healed up from them. So the next step was in April of 2019, I got my hearing aids. The only thing the hearing aids do is they amplify the sound that's around me to help me hear a little bit better. It's basically a comfort tool for me. I can hear without the hearing aids, but at nowhere near that I can with these little speakers stuck in my ear. Fast forward about 4 years, actually 3 years. We're getting ready to go on a cruise. Last Halloween, we always try to go on a cruise around Halloween. We were on the Mardi Gras this past year. Shortly before we went on the Mardi Gras, I noticed I was having a little bit of pain and discomfort in my left ear. And I noticed a little bit of loss of hearing. The way that I noticed that, and also the way I took care of it, is my hearing aids are controlled by an app on my phone. I can adjust the volume. And I noticed that I had slowly started turning the volume up on the left side, but not the right side, just to maintain what I was able to hear around me, whether it be at home, at work, or whatever I was doing. I noticed I had the volume in the left side turned up higher than the right side. When I maxed out the volume at 10, and I noticed that my hearing was still getting worse, I thought, I need to go to the doctor. So I went back to the doctor. I want to put this in here real quick. All 4 of my surgeries were done by the same surgeon at the VA. Folks, y'all hear horror stories about the VA all the time. I can tell you that a lot of times those are not stories, but so far, my experience at the VA has been very positive. This is not a plug for the VA hospitals by any means. This is just letting you know my personal experience, the experience that me and my family have had at the VA over here in Lexington, Kentucky. But Dr. Bush has done all 4 of my surgeries. So once a year, I would go back for a follow-up, and I would actually talk to Dr. Bush because he can look in my ear and go, yep, that looks the same, or nope, that looks different. Well, a couple of months ago, Dr. Bush looked in my left ear and said, that looks different. I want to do a CT scan. So I had a CT scan done. A couple of weeks later, that CT scan came back. The radiologist that read the scan said, there's something here. Dr. Bush looked at it and went, I agree, there's something there. We need to get Mr. Owens in. so we can talk to him about this. So they did. And as I always like to do whenever I go to the doctor, I brought my Brenda with me. Well, there's been a couple of times that Brenda has been at my VA appointments with me, and they put me in the chair that's got the otoscope, the microscope for your ear. And they looked in my ear, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw Brenda jump because she saw something that didn't look right to her. She had seen, they have a monitor that sits up on the wall, and she can see what they're doing, kind of thing. But she looked, and I saw her jump because she saw something was different. So Dr. Bush looked in my ear. Something ain't right. Had the CT scan, called us back, and said, there's something here, and the only way we're going to know what it is to go in and take a look around. So that's where we stand right now. I have another surgery number 5 total, the third surgery on my left ear scheduled here real soon. Now, allow me to please explain what I mean by here real soon. If you're watching this video the day that I make it public on YouTube, I want to tell you that I hope you enjoyed your May Day. That's the 1st of May. The day that I release this will be the 2nd of May. I'm sitting at home with my Brenda, getting ready for tomorrow because tomorrow is my surgery date. At the time that I'm filming this, I don't have an exact time. But I will tell you that when I come out of my surgery and I start coming off the anesthesia, I'm going to get on Facebook and I'm going to get on Instagram and I'm going to let y'all know how this all turned out. Till then, just keep us in your thoughts, keep us in your prayers, and we'll keep y'all posted. Bye, everybody.